Welcome to Faith 7 Business, where stories ignite faith and strategy. Every word here is crafted to inspire, transform minds, and drive action. What happens when you lead your business not merely with a balance sheet, but with a holy heart? When Moses led the Israelites out of slavery in Egypt, he had no capital, no technology, only one thing: a calling from God. Today, if you are a Christian entrepreneur, your strategy for success isn't just found in Excel. It's rooted in Ezra, Joshua, and Leviticus. Are you ready to lead not just a company, but a sacred mission? Imagine yourself as a young entrepreneur standing at a crossroads, faced with a critical decision. How should you allocate the precious capital you've just received? You could invest in cutting-edge technology to grow your business, or you could dedicate part of those resources to serving the community, building lasting value for society. In this moment of choice, the financial principles found in Leviticus shine like a guiding light. Where God taught the ancient Israelites to manage wealth with justice, compassion, and holiness. Could these eternal principles still illuminate business decisions today? In today's modern business world, capital management is seen as the art of allocating limited resources to maximize profit and drive sustainable growth. Thought leaders like Jim Rohn emphasize the importance of disciplined saving, wise investing, and asset diversification to reduce risk and expand opportunity. John Maxwell adds that a great financial leader doesn't just manage numbers, they develop people and create lasting influence. This means that businesses must pursue more than short-term profit. They must build spiritual and communal value, embracing social responsibility as a core part of their strategy. Maxwell's philosophy of living with purpose reminds Christian entrepreneurs that capital is not merely a tool for wealth. It is a sacred trust given to fulfill a higher mission. Therefore, capital allocation must strike a balance between business development, innovation, and community care, supporting education, helping the poor, and reflecting God's love and compassion. In the book of Leviticus, the financial commands given by God to the Israelites go beyond asset management. They reflect a profound concern for justice, mercy, and holiness. One standout principle is the year of Jubilee. Every seventh year, debts were forgiven and land returned to its original owners. This was God's way of preventing excessive accumulation of wealth and protecting the vulnerable from prolonged financial oppression. Additionally, Leviticus commands that portions of one's wealth be set aside to care for the poor, the foreigner, and the disabled, showcasing the deep mercy of God even in economic life. Holiness in asset management is another central theme of Leviticus. Wealth is not merely material to be hoarded or used for personal gain. It is a sacred responsibility. The financial steward under God's law must remain faithful, rejecting greed, deceit, and injustice. As God declared, "Be holy, because I, the Lord your God, am holy." When comparing modern corporate finance to the financial laws of Leviticus, we see distinct differences, but also powerful complementarity. Modern business prioritizes efficiency, growth, profit, and talent development. Leviticus focuses on justice, redistribution, debt relief, and sacred stewardship. Yet at the core of both is the shared conviction that managing wealth is not about accumulation for self, but about creating greater impact, long-term legacy, and communal flourishing. The powerful lesson for today's entrepreneur is this: to integrate the discipline, growth mindset, and business wisdom of Jim Rohn and John Maxwell with the sacred, compassionate, and just principles of Leviticus. Capital management is not just a numbers game. It is a journey of faithful stewardship before God. It's how you live and lead with divine purpose. Leviticus, the third book of the Old Testament, is not just a set of religious codes. It is a spiritual blueprint for a just and sustainable society. These divine laws were meant to shape a community where wealth is not a survival tool alone, but a tangible expression of righteousness, mercy, and holiness from God. Property was not to be hoarded for personal benefit, but redistributed to ensure social balance and uphold the dignity of every person. As one writer put it, Leviticus is a design for a just society, where finance is managed with the goal of maintaining harmony and communal responsibility. Meanwhile, capital management in modern enterprises focuses on profit optimization, ensuring liquidity, and driving growth, goals that are undeniably valid in the fierce competition of today's market economy. However, the growing movement toward human-centered business, ethical governance, and sustainable development models affirms that no business can truly separate itself from its community. Social responsibility, once considered an optional add-on, has now become a core element of long-term strategy. By comparing these two approaches, one shaped by divine revelation in the days of Moses, the other formed through data-driven modern financial strategy, we uncover not only profound lessons in ethics, but also a powerful path toward managing capital with intentionality, compassion, and eternal value. The financial laws of Leviticus: gratitude, justice, and holiness. Leviticus is not merely a set of rigid ceremonial regulations. It is a sacred charter, God's revealed will for a chosen people, calling them to live differently, to walk in righteousness, and to reflect His glory in a fallen world. Within its pages, the financial laws are not simply economic mechanisms, but divine tools meant to shape a community marked by gratitude, generosity, and a God-centered worldview in every financial decision. One of its core principles is the law of the tithe, found in Leviticus 27, verse 30 through 33. The scripture says, "A tithe of everything from the land, whether grain from the soil or fruit from the trees, belongs to the Lord. It is holy to the Lord." Leviticus 27, verse 30, NIV. The Israelites were commanded to give 10% of their produce, grain, fruit, and livestock, as an offering to God. This was not an afterthought or leftover. It was the first fruits, a symbolic act of thanksgiving and recognition that every blessing originates from the Lord. This tithe wasn't consumed blindly, but was redistributed to support the priests who owned no land, maintain the temple, and sustain sacred community life. In the Old Testament economy, justice could not be divorced from holiness. Every financial action was to revolve around God, nourishing a social ecosystem where no one was left behind. Giving was not merely a financial transaction. It was a declaration of faith, a surrender to the truth that God is the provider and the rightful owner of all wealth. In a world driven by accumulation and control, the tithe stood as a powerful reminder: you are a steward, not the master. Today, this law still echoes, not only in the church pews, but also in boardrooms and financial planning sessions. A purpose-driven leader, as John Maxwell would describe, understands that wealth is not to be clutched, but channeled. Giving does not make you poorer. It unlocks the flow of blessing, protects the heart from greed, and connects you to a sacred financial universe where God is the source. No interest for the poor. Finance through the lens of mercy. In Leviticus 25, verse 35 through 37, God delivers a deeply humane financial principle. If any of your fellow Israelites become poor, help them as you would a foreigner or a stranger, so they can continue to live among you. Do not take interest or any profit from them, but fear your God. This was more than a law. It was a moral mirror. It laid the ethical foundation for justice and compassion in every financial interaction within the covenant community. Rather than exploiting the weakness of others for gain, a practice all too common in today's financial systems, God commanded the Israelites to help their struggling brothers without charging interest, without profiting from basic needs. It was a countercultural stance, one that placed human dignity above profit margins. The poor were not a burden, but an opportunity to demonstrate love. While the modern market glorifies profit and efficiency, Leviticus emphasizes mercy and communal solidarity, two values that are fast disappearing in today's cold financial world. The poor don't need pity. They need a sincere hand extended and a system that allows them to recover, rebuild, and retain their dignity. Jim Rohn once said, "The true measure of your wealth is how you treat those who can give you nothing in return." John Maxwell adds, "A true leader lifts others up, especially the weak." When a Christian entrepreneur chooses to lift up rather than take advantage, it becomes not only an ethical act, but a bold statement of faith that God, not short-term profit, is the ultimate provider. In today's world, where microloans are transforming lives, yet also risk becoming tools of exploitation, Leviticus rings out like a prophetic warning. We are called to give without expecting return, because God first gave to us. The year of Jubilee, redistributing wealth to restore dignity. In Leviticus 25, verses 8 through 55, God institutes a revolutionary, countercultural financial reset. Every 50th year, known as the Year of Jubilee, land was to be returned to its original family owners, and all indentured servants were to be set free. This was not symbolic idealism. It was a concrete mechanism of social and economic restoration, designed to reestablish justice and restore dignity to those who had lost everything, fallen into bondage, or been crushed under debt. In a world where wealth concentrates over time and inequality deepens across generations, the Jubilee was God's way of declaring, "No one stays trapped forever." It was an act of divine compassion that challenged human greed and power structures. The land was not to be hoarded or monopolized, but held in stewardship, always with the understanding that the land is mine and you reside in it as foreigners and strangers. The Jubilee reveals a God who cares not only for spiritual salvation, but for economic dignity. A God who refuses to let debt define identity or financial bondage become permanent. In today's economic landscape, where ownership and financial power are increasingly concentrated in the hands of a few, the laws of Leviticus ring out like a prophetic alarm. They declare that prosperity is not meant to be hoarded by a minority at the expense of the majority's opportunity to live and thrive. Every person, rich or poor, is made in the image of God and deserves a second chance, a path to restoration. Imagine a society where, after 50 years, those who lost their land due to hardship could return to their ancestral inheritance, where those who had become indentured servants due to debt were released into freedom and dignity. This isn't socialism, it's righteous mercy. Compassion put into action to ensure no one is left behind on the side of the economic road forever.
John Maxwell once said, "Leadership is not about maintaining order, it's about releasing potential." The Year of Jubilee is exactly that, a model of community leadership where God designed a financial mechanism to release people from the prison of failure, poverty, and despair. In our time, the lesson of Jubilee challenges us, especially Christian entrepreneurs, to ask, what kind of financial ecosystem are we building? Is it a system that traps people behind, or a network that lifts them forward? When you design fair benefits, forgive debts, or give someone a second chance, whether it's an employee, customer, or struggling partner, you are living out the spirit of Jubilee. You are leading with purpose and reflecting the righteous mercy of God. Honest scales, transparency as the foundation of a holy community. Leviticus 19 verses 35-36 states, "Do not use dishonest standards when measuring length, weight, or quantity. Use honest scales and honest weights, an honest ephah and an honest hin," via Bible Gateway. Behind those seemingly dry measurements lies a profound truth. Justice is the foundation of a holy society. In a market-driven economy where transactions happen by the second, trust is the invisible glue that keeps the system running. When the scales are tampered with, it's not just the buyer who loses. The whole community suffers the erosion of moral safety. Leviticus frames a lack of transparency not as a technical failure, but as a sin against God, defiling the covenant between Him and His people. This law doesn't just apply to ancient merchants. It speaks directly to every quote, every contract, and every marketing campaign today. A Christian leader cannot enlarge the ephah, meaning we cannot speak one thing and do another, inflate value, obscure truth, or manipulate expectations. Jim Rohn once warned, "Integrity is the foundation for all lasting achievement." And John Maxwell teaches, "You cannot lead people for long without their trust." When you practice transparency, you're not just doing what is right, you're creating a space where trust can grow. Trust between you and your customers, your team, and your community. In this digital age, where deepfakes, fake metrics, and media manipulation are widespread, Leviticus calls us back to a sacred standard. Be real. Use real weights, show real prices, act with real intent. That is how you protect not just your reputation, but your soul. Timely wages. Honoring workers is honoring God. Leviticus 19 verse 13 gives a clear command. Do not defraud or rob your neighbor. Do not hold back the wages of a hired worker overnight, via Bible Gateway. This is not just a financial obligation, it is a moral imperative, a tangible expression of human dignity and obedience to God. In today's economy, where payments and payrolls are often adjusted for financial strategy, delayed wages or withheld benefits are sadly common. But under the lens of Leviticus, these normal actions are seen as an affront to the divine image within each worker. Paying wages on time is more than fair practice. It's a way to say to your team, "I see you, I value you, I keep my word to you." Jim Rohn once said, "Treat your employees as your greatest asset. They are the ones who carry your dream into reality." And John Maxwell adds, "A great leader puts others ahead of personal gain." When you pay on time, you sow trust, water loyalty, and reap a corporate culture rooted in honor and integrity. Workers are not profit tools. They are living images of God's grace and provision to your organization. Every time you pay them on time, you're doing something small, but declaring something enormous. Whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me. Matthew 25, verse 40. Practicing ethics, a beacon of light in a world of deception. In a time when market confidence can be shaken by a single tweet or a financial scandal, business ethics has become pure gold, irreplaceable and essential. A modern business cannot survive in the long term without transparency, fairness, and integrity. This includes obeying the law, paying fair wages, disclosing finances honestly, refusing to manipulate information, and treating partners with a spirit of honor. Simple actions like paying on time, keeping promises, and being transparent in pricing are living expressions of kingdom ethics. Jim Rohn once warned, "If you lose your reputation in a second, you may spend a lifetime trying to regain it." And Leviticus 19 verse 36 echoes this warning with divine clarity. Use honest scales. In the light of Christian faith, ethics is not optional. It is a prerequisite for sustainable leadership, true influence, and eternal legacy.
Lessons from Leviticus for Modern Business. Finances in the Light of the Kingdom. At first glance, the financial laws of Leviticus may seem like ancient ceremonial commands. But in reality, they are timeless invitations to live ethically and lead responsibly. Behind each statute lies a mirror reflecting the heart of God, who calls His people to live justly, mercifully, and with holiness even in financial matters. Today, modern businesses can apply these principles in dynamic, practical ways. When you allocate part of your profits to social responsibility, like building schools, supporting the environment, or funding medical aid, you embody the Levitical spirit of offering the first and best to honor the provider and serve the community. When you create interest-free microloan programs for the poor, you're practicing the command not to charge interest to the needy, lifting people up instead of exploiting them. This is compassionate finance that reflects the mercy of Christ. When you support or lead debt relief initiatives, asset redistribution, or give second chances to those who have failed, you're reviving the spirit of Jubilee, a time when everyone, no matter how far they've fallen, can rise again with dignity and hope. When you ensure every process, quote, measure, and product in your supply chain is fair and transparent, you are living out the principle of honest weights and measures. A reminder that transparency is more than good management. It is kingdom character. And when you pay fair and timely wages, you're not just complying with labor laws. You are sowing trust, cultivating respect, and honoring the divine dignity in every worker created in God's image. Leviticus is not merely a book for the past. It is a compass for today's Christian entrepreneur. When you choose to lead with the spirit of Leviticus, you're not just building a successful company. You are contributing to the establishment of a kingdom-reflecting society, where finance, mercy, and justice come together under the light of God's righteousness. Application for American entrepreneurs. A clear vision is the guiding compass for every business decision. Practical strategy for Christian entrepreneurs. Align vision with action, like Joshua. In business, a clear vision serves as a compass, but it only becomes transformative when paired with strategic action. Vision should ignite your team's passion, instill trust in your customers, and inspire your investors. But before you cross any river, like Joshua did with the Jordan, you must scout the land, prepare wisely, and plan deliberately. 1. Crafting an inspiring vision, a light to lead the way. Every business begins with an idea, but only those with a clear, bold, and purpose-driven vision can weather the storms. Your vision statement should be short, memorable, and powerful enough to stir hearts. Examples: revolutionizing online education for every American. Bringing affordable healthcare to every underserved community. But it's not enough to write it down. You must repeat it often. Make your vision the central theme in team meetings, marketing, and social media storytelling. John Maxwell said it best: "A vision that is not repeated is forgotten. A vision without fire becomes a dead slogan." To make your vision both inspiring and grounded, base it on market research. Don't dream aimlessly, dream with data. Ask, does this vision address a real need in society, like education, healthcare, or digital transformation? 2. Strategic planning, lessons from Joshua. Before Israel crossed the Jordan to enter the Promised Land, Joshua didn't charge ahead emotionally. He set out spies to survey the land, understand the terrain, and identify the enemy's weaknesses. Joshua 2, verse 1. This is a model for modern entrepreneurs. Never move before you understand. Amazon is a prime example. Before becoming a multi-sector giant, it spent years mastering the online book market, then gradually expanded into cloud computing, AWS, now the financial backbone of the entire company.
Real-world strategies for American Christian entrepreneurs. SWOT analysis. Honestly list your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. A solid SWOT is like Joshua's scouting report, not just of the market, but of the challenges within yourself. Build a detailed business plan. Include vision, long-term goals, marketing strategy, product roadmap, and a clear 1 to 3 year financial forecast. Track progress with practical tools. Use platforms like Trello, Asana, or Notion to turn plans into daily action. Like Joshua, you need more than a promise. You need a plan to possess it. From desert journey to business strategy, key kingdom principles for Christian entrepreneurs. The journey of Israel from slavery in Egypt to the Promised Land is more than religious history. It's a timeless blueprint for leadership and innovation. At every stage, God revealed strategic principles that still guide kingdom-minded entrepreneurs today. Here are 7 key words derived from that journey. 1. Vision casting. Where there is no vision, the people perish. Proverbs 29, verse 18. A business cannot survive without vision, but it must be more than a slogan. It must be etched into the heart of your team. Recast your vision regularly, through every meeting, campaign, and social post. You're not just running a company, you're leading a mission. 2. Strategic planning. Just as Joshua didn't cross the Jordan without sending spies, you can't grow a business without deliberate planning. Do your SWOT. Define 1 3 to 5 year goals, design a marketing strategy, and forecast your finances. This is faithfulness in action. 3. Innovation and risk-taking. In the wilderness, Israel was fed with manna, a form of supernatural innovation. Today, growth demands creativity, experimentation, and the courage to fail forward. Don't fear risk when God goes before you. Innovation is a form of worship. You're co-creating with the Creator. 4. Resilience and persistence. 40 years in the desert was not just punishment, it was formation. Christian entrepreneurs must endure dry seasons. Don't quit. Don't alter your vision because of delays. God is never late, as long as you stay faithful. 5. Team building and leadership. Moses couldn't lead alone, he had to share authority. A great business is more than a great CEO. It's a united team aligned in vision and values. Hire by values, train continually, and lead by serving. That's Kingdom HR. 6. Self-sufficiency and sustainability. God taught Israel to farm when they entered the Promised Land. Miracles were not a permanent plan. Wise entrepreneurs build sustainable models, not dependent on endless investment or rescue. Sustainability is how you prepare to pass on a legacy. 7. Community engagement and CSR. Just as Levitical law commanded Israel to care for the poor, the foreigner, and the weak, Christian businesses are called to invest in their communities, create social impact, and serve a cause greater than profit. CSR isn't a PR tactic, it's kingdom leadership in action. Conclusion and call to action. From Leviticus to the boardroom. Leviticus isn't just for priests, it's a blueprint for Christian entrepreneurs seeking to build organizations that reflect the kingdom of God. The laws of tithing, jubilee, fair weights, and just wages may seem ancient, but they form the very foundation of a financial ecosystem rooted in justice, mercy, and sustainability. Everything today's business world is desperately searching for. You're not just called to run a successful company, you're called to lead a mission with eternal impact. And that mission begins with how you manage capital, with generosity, fairness, transparency, and people above profit. Now is the time to act. Audit your financial model. Where is it unclear? Where can you give more? What are you delaying that needs action? Rewrite your vision statement, not just to inspire, but to evaluate every hiring policy,
every spending decision, every investment move. Pray that God would open your eyes to see that finances are not just math, they are a measure of stewardship. You are not alone. The God who led Israel through the wilderness is the same God who will guide you through the marketplace. And when you walk in His Word, your business will not just survive, it will live, grow, and shine as a witness in this world. This, then, is how one should regard us, as servants of Christ and stewards of the mysteries of God. 1 Corinthians 4, verse 1. Thank you for walking alongside Faith 7 Business. Your follow is more than a number. It's a mark of faith, a hunger for transformation, and a shared journey toward lasting value. Keep journeying with us, where storytelling, faith, and strategy converge to spark inspiration and action. Penn, don't miss the upcoming lessons, packed with real-world strategies, transformational insights, and powerful leadership principles crafted for purpose-driven entrepreneurs like you. Faith 7 Business, writing to lead, living to make an impact.